Hi, welcome. Welcome back to the learning unit for SSB 3114 for Applied Industrial Psychology. This time we are going to discuss based on the learning unit number 8. I hope everyone is doing fine. I hope everyone is ready to resume your lecture. Today I'm glad to share with you what we are going to discuss, particularly on the topic of organizational attitudes and behavior. So the learning outcomes of this particular unit are as follows. At the end of these lessons, you are expected to understand the concepts of job satisfaction, job involvement, organizational commitment, organizational justice, and organizational citizenship behavior. And the second learning outcome expected of you is you should be able to review studies related to the concepts, the 5 concepts I've already highlighted in the first learning outcome. Following learning outcome number 1 and 2, you are also expected to be able to discuss current issues related to all the 5 topics that we have discussed, and you have accumulated the knowledge via learning outcome number 1 as well as learning outcome number 2. Now, let's just move on with the first subtopic under this learning unit 8. It is on job satisfaction. So job satisfaction is basically defined as an individual's reaction to the job experience. And the various components that are considered to be vital to job satisfaction. And these variables are important because they all influence the way a person feels about the jobs. And these components include the following, which include pay, promotion, benefits, supervisor, co-worker, work conditions, communication, safety, productivity, and the work itself. Each of these factors figure into an individual's job satisfaction differently. Out of all the factors, basically pay is the one that people might think considered as the most important component in job satisfaction. Although studies have shown this is not necessarily the truth, because the employees are also more concerned with other elements regard to work and the environment in which they enjoy as well. There are several theories that can help us to explain job satisfaction. In this unit, we are going to focus and introduce to you the 4 popular theories that help us to explain job satisfaction. And the first theory is introduced by Locke, and it is called discrepancy theory. This theory suggests that the satisfaction of a person's job comes from what they feel is important rather than fulfilling or failing to satisfy their needs. The importance ratings of a variable for a person is referred to how much of something is desired. So the theory of discrepancy suggests dissatisfaction occurs when a person receives less than they wish. In the second theory by Lawler, Lawler assumed a motivational system drives job satisfaction. The idea is about how a person is measuring job satisfaction based on what they have got versus they feel they deserve. Satisfaction is determined by the difference between a person receiving the exact amount and what they expected. Therefore, unhappiness occurs when a person receives less or more than what was expected. And the third theory was introduced by Bandura. Bandura is a social psychologist who put job satisfaction in an environmental perspective. In order to Bandura developed a theory known as the social influence hypothesis. This hypothesis describes a social effect where individuals want what they perceive others around them to want. And the fourth theory was put forward by Landy. Landy's theory is known as the opponent process theory. In his theory, he suggested that the primary reaction or the immediate emotional response combined with the secondary reaction, which is the later emotional response, creates a stabilized equilibrium which results in job satisfaction. It would also be useful for all of you to know about some studies that have been conducted on the subject of job satisfaction in the Malaysian context. There are two studies that I will highlight here under the topic of job satisfaction, studies conducted by Malaysian researchers. And the first study on job satisfaction was a study conducted by Norsiah and two others, and they are lecturers from the University of Technology, Mara. They did a study entitled Job Demands and Job Resources on Job Satisfaction. And they did a study among nurses at a general hospital in Malaysia. In summary, the study discusses the complexity of nursing working environment that can adversely affect their satisfaction towards the job. In general, job characteristics can be categorized into job demands and job resources. Job demands can be managed by having sufficient job resources to meet the favorable work outcome. Job satisfaction is very much influenced by both job demands and job resources. Therefore, this particular study by Norsiah and friends attempted to examine the relationship between job demands and job resources on job satisfaction by looking at the issues among staff nurses at a general hospital in Malaysia. The findings of the study is that there is only one dimension, that is emotional demand, and the job demand was found a significant negative relationship with job satisfaction. Meanwhile, only one dimension, that is feedback at work and the job resources, was found to have a significant positive relationship with job satisfaction among staff nurses in Malaysia. And the second study, which was conducted by Farah Liana Bustamam, together with Si Suk Teng and Fakro Zaman Abdullah. They are also lecturers. They did the study on rewards management and job satisfaction among frontline employees in the hotel industry in Malaysia. According to these researchers, reward system is comprised of financial rewards and non-financial rewards. Selecting the right rewards for employees has always been an issue in human resource management. Many organizations in the hotel industry are unable to identify the type of rewards which are best used to foster employees' job satisfaction. This study was conducted to investigate the relationship between rewards and job satisfaction, as well as to examine the types of rewards that they will affect employees' job satisfaction. So base salary raises, which is financial reward, and recognition as a non-financial reward, has been discussed in this particular study. Frontline employees working as front desk assistants in 4-star and 5-star hotels in Klang Valley, Malaysia, were sampled in this study. A total of 150 questionnaires were distributed, and only 132 were good for analysis. 4 hypotheses were tested, and the data were analyzed using correlation as well as multiple regression analysis. The result shows that rewards are positively and significantly associated with job satisfaction. Financial reward, while non-financial reward are related to job satisfaction. The regression results has indicated that financial reward has a stronger impact on job satisfaction as compared to non-financial reward. Financial reward affect job satisfaction was accepted also in hypothesis 4, which is non-financial rewards affect job satisfaction, was rejected in this particular study. And the second subtopic we will cover in this unit is job involvement. Job involvement refers to a state of psychological identification with work, or the degree to which a job is central to a person's identity. From an organizational perspective, it has been regarded as the key to unlock employees' motivation and to increase their productivity. From an individual perspective, job involvement constitutes a key to motivation, performance, personal growth, and satisfaction in the workplace. Job involvement contributes importantly to organizational effectiveness, productivity, and morale by engaging employees deeply in their work and making it a meaningful and fulfilling experience. People become involved in their jobs when they perceive in them the potential for satisfying salient psychological needs. For example, they are driven by growth, achievement, meaning of work, recognition from their employers, as well as job security. Job involvement enhances individuals' work performance by motivating them to exert greater effort and use the creativity to solve problems and work intelligently. Job involvement and the benefits that flow from it result partly from personality and characteristics of the individual and partly from organizational contexts, which also include the job design as well as the supervisory behavior. Individuals who possess certain personality traits, for example, internal locus of control, the one who has need for achievement, a person with work ethic endorsement. And these are the people who are likely to be predisposed to become job involved. On the other hand, there are also situational factors that can influence job involvement. Among the factors include job design, organizational and psychological climate, and management style. All of these factors have important influences on employee job involvement. Job design factors appears to have a stronger influence on job involvement for individuals who have a stronger drive to satisfying higher order psychological needs. That is, higher order need strength. If you were to look at this particular framework introduced by McKelvey and Sekaran in 1977, it is suggested that job involvement is influenced by multiple factors that can either serve as the predictors or the outcome variables. Outcome variables involving job involvement. If you were to look at all these predictors, basically they include demographics, personality, that can influence professional training, which eventually have effect on career orientation. Literature have also shown that tenure in a job can also influence job involvement. When you were to look at the relationship between job involvement and job satisfaction, it can be said that both of it can interplay among themselves. Like job involvement can influence job satisfaction, as well as job satisfaction in turn can influence job involvement. Job involvement can also affect performance, can also affect the quality of work life of employees. The four categories of factors arising from management values and purposes that can have influence on job involvement include the job characteristics of the superior, organizational role expectation, and organizational structure. Now we move on to giving you some samples of studies that had been conducted regarding job involvement in the Malaysian context. The first study was conducted by Permarupan, Al-Mamun, and Ahmad Saufi from University Malaysia Kelantan. They did the study by looking at quality of work life on employees' job involvement and effective commitment between public and private sector in Malaysia. So the study is designed actually to examine the relationship between the quality of work life, or QWL, employees' job involvement, and effective commitment among the employees of the private and public sector organization in Malaysia. About 334 middle management level employees participated in the study. Quality of work life was measured using 5 dimensions, which are fair and appropriate salary, working condition, capacity at work, opportunities at work, and organization climate. The intervening and dependent variables are job involvement and effective commitment. The results of the study indicated that working conditions, opportunities at work, and climate organization had a relatively higher impact on job involvement and effective commitment. The finding of this study contributed to the knowledge and understanding of the effect of the selected factors, which lead to better understanding among the practice for both private and public organization in Malaysia towards attainment of a superior level of efficiency to thrive in ever competitive business world. The second study, which was conducted by Norsiah Aminuddin, she looks at the issue of gender and employee involvement in Malaysia. This study examines the differences between the attitude of men and women towards employee involvement programs in Malaysian context. The Quality Circle and employee share ownership schemes were the focus of the current study of employee involvement. Both quantitative and qualitative research approaches were used in a mixed method study. The research found no significant differences in the attitude of men and women towards employee involvement schemes. However, with regard to participating in employment involvement programs, men appeared to have more opportunity in comparison to women. So this suggests that managers should seriously consider gender variation in designing employee involvement schemes at the workplace. So now we continue with the third aspect of organizational commitment. Organizational commitment is defined as the relative strength of an individual identification with an involvement in a particular organization. Organizational commitment is also described as the employee's state of commitment to the organization, as well as the employee's identification with the organization's values, and goals. So one of the theories that is commonly found in studies in relation to organizational commitment is what we called theory of organizational commitment. The theory contains three distinctive components. And the first component is affective commitment, which refers to the emotional attachment to an organization. If an employee or if a person have a high level of affective commitment, the person enjoys the relationship with the organization and are likely to stay. The person stays because he or she wants to stay. And the second component is continuance commitment. Continuance commitment refers to the degree to which a person believes that leaving the organization would be costly to him or to her. If a person have a high level of continuance commitment, he or she will stay with an organization because he or she feels that he or she must stay. For example, he may fear quitting the job that lead to an unacceptable length of unemployment. On the other hand, he may feel that he will lose a certain degree of status if he leaves a well-respected organization, such as a top law firm or a reputable university. Finally, the third component is normative commitment. It is the degree that one feels obligated to the organization or believe that staying is the right thing to do. And therefore, this person believes that he or she ought to stay with the organization. So there are three studies on organizational commitment that I want to share with all of you today. And the first study was done by Keisuke Kokubun from the Kyoto University in Japan, who did a study on organizational commitment and rewards in Malaysia with comparison between university graduates and others. This study investigates the relationship between rewards and organizational commitment among the 12,076 employees who work for 32 Japanese manufacturing companies in Malaysia. Hierarchical regression analysis that was used in this study revealed that all of the three types of reward are important for organizational commitment in the order of intrinsic, social, and extrinsic rewards. The findings suggest that the antecedents of organizational commitment in Malaysia are different from those in the West or in other lower income Asian countries such as China. The comparison between university graduates and others shows that extrinsic and intrinsic rewards had stronger, while social rewards had weaker influence on organizational commitment in university graduates than in others. Satisfaction with personnel, devaluation, and autonomy were more strongly correlated with organizational commitment in university graduates, while co-worker support and role clarity were more significantly correlated with organizational commitment in others. Fatigue was negatively correlated with organizational commitment in university graduates, were positively correlated with organizational commitment in others. Other rewards, such as satisfaction with other treatments, supervisor support, and training, were equally correlated with organizational commitment in university graduates and others. And the second study by Nordin Bashir and Choi Sanlong, who studied the relationship between training and organizational commitment among academicians in Malaysia. So the purpose of the study is to address the questions of what is the relationship between employee perception on training and employees' organizational commitment. The studies found out that there is a significant and positive relationship between training-related variables, which include availability of training, motivation to learn, co-worker support for training, supervisor support for training, and benefits of training. The affective and normative commitment components of the organizational commitment. While there is a non-significant relationship with continuance commitment. Additionally, the results of the study reveal that the best predictor of effective commitment is core worker support for training, followed by availability of training. For normative commitment, the best predictor was availability of training. So the third and the final example of a study on organizational commitment was conducted by Shankar Chelich and two others who did a research on employees' organizational commitment in organization, a case of small medium enterprises in Malaysia. According to them, organizational commitment is a psychological construction of responsibility that an employee has towards the mission and direction of an organization. So in their study, they attempted to identify the Malaysian private organization employees' perception of their jobs and how to improve their work commitment towards the organization. So the problem of many organizations today is not just to have more skillful and intellectual employees in each and every department, but also to find the right talented employees with positive attitudes and commitment to their work. So the employees of private organizations today in Malaysia, they said, are not fully satisfied with their jobs. If employees do not sense engaged, they can spiral down into distrustful, which could bring down their work involvement. These observations have brought about the purpose and the need for their study. So this study also researches the relationship between organizational commitment of employees influenced by job satisfaction. So job involvement and perceived organizational support and affective or continuance or normative type commitments. Their findings confirm that job satisfaction, job involvement, and perceived normative type commitment are significantly positive and accepted. Normative and affective types of commitments have high influence in getting the employee's job involvement, job satisfaction, and perceived organizational support. Hi, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you are still with me. So the fourth subtopic in this Learning Unit 8 is on organizational justice. We will cover various aspects of organizational justice, particularly organizational, distributive, procedural, as well as interactional aspects of organizational justice. According to Greenberg, 1987, organizational justice can be defined as an employee's perception of the fairness of the resource allocation in an organization. Synonyms such as fairness is justice, which refers to management decision and action that are morally right in accordance with ethical standards, religion, and or law. Justice in organization can pertain to financial and non-financial rewards, such as fair pay and incentive, equal opportunities for promotion, as well as performance evaluation procedures. Therefore, the term organizational justice can refer to employees' perception of the extent to which organization management decisions and actions are considered fair. This perception in turn can influence employees' attitude towards management. In short, the perception of fairness is very, very, very important in an organization, which is how employees perceive justice will greatly affect organizational performance and success by creating greater trust between employer and employees. It will help improve teamwork, increase the level of employee citizenship behavior, and also reduce conflict between employer and employee. There is one important theory that can be viewed to explain organizational justice. Equity theory, which was introduced by Adam in 1963, which simply refers to when employees feel they are fairly treated, they are more likely to be motivated, and such motivation will be transformed into positive work behavior and attitude. However, if an employee feels he or she is unfairly treated, he or she is more likely to feel demotivated and prone to display negative work behavior and attitude. An employee measures fairness by comparing the output. The output include pay, recognition, personal development, satisfaction, and security that he or she receive with that received by other employees. In short, employees tend to compare themselves with other employees to determine if they are being treated fairly. Employees may compare whether their contribution, for example, in terms of their time, their effort, their ability, match their rewards. However, it is not always possible for employees to have all their expectations met, because the rewards are often determined by the management and are therefore beyond the control of the employees. Adams' equity theory indicates there are various factors which include leadership style, development chances, and availability of resources that can affect an employee's perception of justice at the workplace level. So this theory therefore proposes that employees will be dissatisfied if their contributions are greater than they rewards. Employees' dissatisfaction is manifested through their low commitment level, increased absenteeism, and sometimes unruly behavior. In order to reward all employees fairly, human resource managers should act ethically and not allow their decision to be influenced by their personal emotions. So HR manager should try to give employees the best possible rewards that they rightfully deserved, commensurate with the effort that they have exerted. Now let us look at the dimensions of organizational justice. Organizational justice consists of three dimensions, namely procedural, distributive, and interactional justice. All these three types of justice are defined in different ways based on different managerial decisions. Each one is interrelated with the other and constitutes the overall organizational fairness system. In the absence of any one of them, it will be difficult to develop effective organizational justice. For example, to ensure equity in distribution of employees' benefits, the decisions to allocate rewards should be supported by fair procedures and accurate information. The first dimension of justice is distributive justice. Distributive justice is defined as the fairness associated with the decision related to the distribution of resources within an organization. As such, distributive justice pertains to the allocation of financial or non-financial resources, such as giving bonus to an employee who has achieved some assigned organizational or performance target. The resources distributed may be tangible, which is in terms of money, for example, salary, or it can also be intangible, non-financial, such as praise. Distributive justice is perceived to be achieved when employees notice that their efforts and reward are assessed equally. Based on the equity theory, the rule of equality and allocation based on need are two common approaches to distributive justice. If employers emphasize these two approaches when distributing resources, the issue of unequal or unfair distribution of resources can be at least minimized, if not eliminated. The second type of justice is procedural justice. Procedural justice refers to employees' perception of the fairness of the management policies and procedures that regulate the process leading to decision outcome. Procedural justice focuses on the process, which is the steps taken by the management to reach a just decision. Procedural issues such as equal employment opportunities in manpower planning, fair disciplinary actions, and reward system, and the trustworthiness of the decision-making authority are important to enhance employees' perception of procedural justice. If the managerial processes and procedures are perceived to be fair, then employees will be more satisfied and more likely to form a positive attitude towards management decision, which indirectly can lead to less conflict between employer and employees. And justice number 3, interactional justice. Interactional justice is defined as the just treatment that an employee receives as the result of managerial decision. Specifically, interactional justice is the interpersonal transactions the employees encounter with figures in authority. Interactional justice can be enhanced by providing the necessary information and explanation on the rationale for decisions made by the management. Kolkit is one of the leading researchers in the field of organizational justice, suggests that interactional justice consists of 2 elements of justice, which is interpersonal and informational justice. Interpersonal justice refers to perception of respect in one's treatment, which is, are employees treated with courtesy and respect? Meanwhile, informational justice refers to perception of whether an employer is providing timely and adequate information and explanation, which is management willing to share relevant information with employees? So that is an important question to be addressed. Now we move on to look into 2 studies that was conducted in Malaysia on the topic of organizational justice. The first study, which was conducted by a group of researchers, I believe they are all lecturers as well, in the state of Terengganu as well as Pahang, and there are about 5 of them who studied and assessed the effects of organizational justice on organizational commitment in Malaysia small medium enterprise sector. So this particular study aimed to explore factors influencing organizational commitment among Malaysian SMEs employees. About 384 employees from Malaysian SMEs companies participated in this study. And in general, the results have shown that procedural justice, distributive justice, and informational justice are significantly and positively related to organizational commitment. In the second study by Efosa and Salehipour, and both of them are academics from one of the private university in Malaysia, and they studied the perception of organizational justice among non-academic staff of tertiary education in the state of Selangor, Malaysia. In summary, their study indicated that high turnover intention rate would negatively affect organization productivity and overall performance. Also, hiring, training new employees might result in extra expenses. Therefore, they, in their study, focus on organizational justice as one of the main reasons for turnover intention from the 3 dimensions. So the finding of the study indicated that organizational justice has significantly effects on non-academic members of tertiary education turnover intention rate, and illustrates strong relationship between the variables. Outcome of this study is also indicated that tertiary education institutes in Malaysia require immediate, adequate action towards improving organizational justice to develop productivity and performance of their non-academic employees, and to diminish turnover intention rate. Hi, welcome back. So the final subtopics that we will cover in this particular unit is what we call organizational citizenship behavior, or OCB in short. Organizational citizenship behavior, which basically refers to behaviors that exceed delineated role expectation but are crucial for an organization's survival. According to Organ in 1988, he defined OCB as individual behavior that is discretionary, not directly or explicitly recognized by the formal reward system, and that is aggregate, promotes the effective functioning of the organization. According to Podsakoff and a few others in the year 2000, there is a theoretical model that they introduced to explain organizational citizenship behavior, which include the 5 factors. And the first factor is altruism, which basically refers to helping behavior for supporting personnel or the co-workers who have work-related problems. And number 2 is conscientiousness, refers to behavior that causes a person to do tasks more than what he is expected. And the third one is courtesy, in which employees demonstrate and display polite manners that prevent creation of problems at the workplace. And the fourth one is sportsmanship. It's a chivalrous behavior that avoid too much complaint at work. And finally, civic virtue. It refers to manners representing individuals' involvement in the activities related to the organization. There are 2 theories that can be found in studies to explain organizational citizenship behavior. The first theory is conservation of resource theory, or COR theory. It was developed by Hopfall, and the theory postulates that individuals are motivated to obtain, retain, foster, and protect valuable resources by preventing them from any loss. In this context, resources refers to individuals perceive anything useful that help them to attain goals. Further, according to COR theory, individuals will try to retain, protect, and obtain useful resources due to the limited amount of resources. In this case, it should be understood that resources are items that have intrinsic or instrumental value, which include objects, conditions, personal characteristics, and energy. And the second theory that is also quite commonly found to be used in explaining OCB is social exchange theory. Social exchange theory was first introduced by Bloch, and OCB is defined as social association or an exchange of activity tangible or intangible and more or less rewarding or costly between at least two persons. In other words, OCB can be described as voluntary, beneficial actions that involve exchanges between individuals with the expectation of receiving something in return from the other. The example of beneficial actions include assistance, advice, compliance, appreciation, and instrumental services. Nevertheless, it is important to note that the principle of reciprocity in social exchange relationship entails the discretionary cooperative behavior and do not involve explicit bargaining or prior specification. In short, OCB simply refers to behaviors that employees perform beyond what is spelled out as their tasks and responsibilities as an employee of an organization. For example, picking up rubbish from the floor, which is basically not the job of the employees. That is not spelled in the terms and conditions of their employment. But because they feel it is a good thing to do, so they do it. Now we move on to see what are the examples of studies in Malaysia that have examined OCBs. There is one particular study done by Rosafiza and friends from University Kebangsaan and University Science. They look at the issue of organizational citizenship behavior in Malaysian higher educational institutions. Organizational citizenship behavior, as reported by them, is a unique aspect of employees' behavior in the workplace, which is regarded as one of the important requirements and prerequisite for organizational effectiveness. Therefore, respective top management of the organization are driven to revisit means and ways to improve, motivate, and improvise strength of each employee. Thereby, employee with organizational positive attitudes, which encompasses citizenship behavior, will propel organization in achieving effective organizational implications and outcomes. According to them, although these characteristics are important in the new global economy of the 21st century. In every organization, especially in the higher education institutions, it is significantly imperative to examine and analyze the contribution of citizenship behavior in Malaysia context of this industry, as it is seen very scarce. For this reason, this particular study focused on the level of OCB in the context of higher institution, with the objective to address the reason as to why research university staffs are willing to put extra effort in undertaking the task beyond the job description. The data were gathered from 487 staff in 5 higher education institutions in Malaysia. which includes staff that undertake the responsibility at the workplace above and beyond their official responsibility, is normally vested with high level of OCBs. Suggestion from the finding and future research on this citizenship behavior are also discussed. It is hoped that this study can contribute towards better understanding of the concept of OCB, especially in the context of Malaysian higher education. In the second study, which was done by Subramaniam Sri Ramalu and Zuhasni Muhammad Rashid, and their work has been published in the Southeast Asian Journal of Contemporary Business, Economics and Law in the year 2016. They were looking at Islamic work ethic and OCB, and they studied civil servants in Malaysia. The study can be summarized such that the government machinery has a vital role to play in execution of various national economic transformation plans in realizing Vision 2020. The efficient service delivery will help the government machineries to be more cost-effective and better equipped to meet the demands and expectations of the public for 2020 and beyond. The focal point in addressing public expectation in the public service employs job performance and quality of the public service delivery. Civil servants who possess OCB that transcend beyond their task performance expectation is highly sought to enhance government delivery efficiency to the public. Islamic work ethic has become the most influential factors that has practically shaped Malaysian work value systems and their workplace behavior. This study examined the relationship between Islamic work ethic and OCB using a survey method. A total of 153 state civil servants from the unfederated Malay states, namely Johor, Kedah, Kelantan, Terengganu, have participated in the study. The finding of the study revealed that Islamic work ethic is a vital work values that promotes OCB among the civil servants in Malaysia, especially among the Muslims employees who embrace Islam as their faith. Specifically, the result of this study revealed that greater Islamic work ethics is related to greater sportsmanship, greater civic virtue, greater altruism, and courtesy dimension of OCB. Islamic work ethic, however, was not significantly related to conscientiousness facet of OCB. The findings of this study have made significant contribution to the body of knowledge in understanding OCB among civil servants in Malaysia who predominantly guided by the Islamic work ethic. And finally, this study also has few practical implications to government agencies and policymakers in devising appropriate human resource management strategies to ensure efficient public service delivery. With the presentation and discussion on OCB, it marks the end of the delivery of Learning Unit number 8. I hope all of you have gained some amount of knowledge in the understanding of organizational attitudes and behaviors. If you have any questions, you can post your questions via email to me, or you can WhatsApp me the questions or you can post the questions in our FB group. With that, I'll see you again in the next lesson. Take care and stay safe.